all these people really like to give up and they don't really have that drive.
Envy's bad. Envy's bad.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to Ascent.
We kind of just threw at the end.
And just winning everything.
I'm with a better team now.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Corner, oh, lineup. I mean, take what like now over to the first.
And they buy themselves some time. It's Spaz that could do it.
Look how quick this point. Oh, especially now.
By Rebellion Black, your Challengers champion.
Welcome everyone to Valorant Challengers League North America. I'm your host, Elizabeth. I'm joined by the one, literally the one, the only, Gompers. We're gonna be holding it down for a little bit today by ourselves. Just some ladies talking about Valorant. You know,
Podcast
it is what it is.
style.
Gompers. What are your podcast? This is our yapping podcast. So sorry, we've kidnapped all of you. We've tricked all of you to talk about Valorant.
Now the discussion, of course, is it Envy or is it Envy? Which one is it? I want to know.
Envy?
Which one?
Envy.
Which one?
Girl, don't know. Okay, but welcome everyone. We have a bunch of great games in store for you today. I am Elizabeth, joined again by Gompers. Just do the introductions one more time. We got a little silly, but now we are back. And we actually do have some awesome games today. If you saw our preds on social media today, you know that we're Gompers and I are a little bit divided, but the games we have today, specifically Plug and Envy versus M80, and then M80 versus Burger. The bracket's looking, dare I say spicy, Gompers, dare I say.
They are. No, and it's so exciting because so far what we have guessed has happened. So we are the all-knowing desk. But
this is true.
We are divided today because I decided to go a little different and be a different girl. I'm just not like everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Not like other girls.
No,
yeah.
we've had really interesting games come up. Obviously, you know, some of which turnouts. I guess we were expecting, right? Winthrop University taking theirs, Plug against Blue. That one was a fun game to watch if you guys didn't watch it on the side stream. But today we get to see, Plug again and Envy this time. So I'm very excited to see, a team that has been put in, that secondhand stream. So we finally do get to see what they have.
Yes, and today's first match will be Envy versus Trust in Plug. I think this is one of the matches I'm most excited for this week. But this is where you and I differed, Gompers, on the prediction. We were in line with M80 versus Burger, but I predicted Envy would win. You predicted Trust in Plug would win. Which we'll talk about a little bit later. But we're first going to talk about Trust in Plug today, first for the show, because they're a roster that I think are really easy to count out because, I think that a lot of fans of Envy are coming in, they're not the Qbert Academies, etc. But especially with the rebuild, Gompers, we were talking before with Moose coming in, this is a team that has really kind of found their stride.
Yeah, I agree. I think Trust in Plug with the big roster rework that they did, they had some funny, I wouldn't say funny, I guess mysterious Twitter posts if you guys haven't seen them, where they were like, new roster loading or something like that. But yeah, the new additions being Bones and Moose, which, two players that I do think have been very, very relevant in, the success that Trust in Plug has found within this stage, right? The first win coming from a pretty weak stage within stage 1. So I'm super excited to live action, right? See if, are they going to get that second win or are they going to fumble back again?
Well, you predicted them, so you believe they're going to get their second win. So you're on Trust in Plug side, but someone we wanted to highlight today is Teague. Teague in the middle there with that selfie is someone that you were talking to me before, is someone who has really been kind of able to help what we talk about, this kind of recalibration setup, chaotic for success, but also is finding a lot of success on their own.
No, absolutely. I think Teague is such a vital player when it comes to, you know, playing into that sentinel role, initiator role. They're very, very versatile. So it's good to see somebody who can, right? I think on average, last time their assists went up to 24. So it's good and very, very nice to see a player that not only assists the team, but does what they're supposed to as well. And obviously evident within the gameplay you're seeing right here, playing off the util, being able to execute on these flanks and post plants and whatnot, right? Executions, whether that be helping Chaotic shine as the duelist, letting them go out and take these picks, and more so setting the team up for success. I think this is a player that kind of gets pushed. I wouldn't say pushed under the rug because obviously they're shining today, but more so a player that I'm looking forward to see more of for sure.
I think also it would be remiss to highlight not only are they just skilled within the utility usage of obviously the roles they're playing, but someone mechanically who is just finding, dare I say, hitting their shots. You know, someone who just really is kind of can really hold their own on a site. Like if I found Teague on a site alone, I would be afraid, frankly. But
honestly, yeah, I'm not. Don't catch me in ranked if I lose to Teagues. Honestly. Forget it. It's someone who I think has really been able to find their stride. But someone else, as we were talking about earlier, who joined this remix of the team is Bones, along with Moose. But we're going to focus on Bones right now. You were praising them before the call when we were talking briefly about the team, Gompers. Yeah.
As well, a part of that, I'm going to use this word again, kind of recalibration of the team, because they play differently, and Bones is a part of that.
No, absolutely. I think Bones is, you know, again, really, really good additions to the team. In terms of what T can do, I think Bones can do it pretty much to the same extent, despite being such a new player into this dynamic, right? So even on their last game, you know, that they played against Blue Otter, they played so well. Bones was exceptional in terms of playing Sova on Ascent, as well as playing Tejo on Haven. Like, it was not only the setups that really caught my eye, but more so the fact that Bones can handle you know, such diverse situations under really, really deep pressure. And I think Bones is going to be such a good addition, pushing this team to success, especially with Trust and Plug's, I mean, overall achievement so far. They've been looking exceptional. Hence why I had to give them some credit, some love moving forward, right? Envy's such a top dog squad. They needed something to give themselves some leeway there.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't think anyone here would say that like Trust and Plug isn't going to give them a run for their money, right? Like this will be a good game. This was not an easy prediction, I think, for any of us to make, because these are both teams, like you said, like a Plug has really been able to kind of like, you know, dig in the strat book, dig deep. And you were talking to me earlier about Envy, who kind of show this more conditioned, aggressive style consistently. Plug has shown they can handle that. Plug has shown they can handle any sort of readjustment that Envy makes. Speaking of Envy, let's talk about Envy. Wow, segue. Envy, I'm sure a lot of you are here to watch Envy. I know we have Poppin, Exter, Inspire, Kanezera, Ion. You know them, you love them. But also I think they have really just been making a name for themselves as tried and true competitors. Right, these are team players. You're people who play the game well in terms of it's not just like quote unquote ranked, but you know, mechanically, but they understand kind of the fundamental aspect. Even though I was saying before, Gompers, that they do kind of have this more aggressive style. Many professional teams do, and that's fine. That's just the way they play. But they play really, really well, and they always have an exciting game. They had a fantastic run in Stage 3, had a very, very clean 2-0 the other week, and so this is a team that. I'm obviously they were picked up for a reason by an organization, and it is someone I think, you know, Inspire genuinely is one of the best Sentinels we have in North America. I've thought that for a very long time. Exter scares me, to be frank.
Yeah, same.
But it scares me in terms of how good he is. But we're going to talk about Poppin, someone on the team who has really also been making a name for themselves. I mean, everyone has, Gompers. There's someone, they all have these amazing standout moments. You can call everyone a fragger. You can call everyone someone who can handle, you know, 1v5 on their own. But Poppin specifically, Gompers, it's stupid, it's cringe, it's whatever, has been popping off.
No, I love it. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, no. I'm also really appreciating the love that we're giving initiators here, because despite them occasionally not being, that top fragging duelist, they have so much impact on teams like these. And I think it's pretty evident as to, the success of what's been going on with Envy. It's not just one player, it's multiple for sure. Poppin being such a big dire, in such a big dire position to keep this team alive for sure. I definitely have seen them set up, I think it's Kane Zera, if that's how you say it. I don't want to butcher anyone's name here, but set up Kane Zera for success. And that pretty much is the typical role, right, of the initiator. People who tend to be a little bit more in the background, but also shoot when needed, right? In times where obviously they have to clutch up, where Poppin was just about to do right there. But it's the dire moments where you really need your initiator step up. And they put the best players on that role for such a good reason, because they're such good critical thinkers. And especially with Poppin, super, super good with a weapon in their hands. Of course, don't put them in the military. We need them here in the games.
I think something you've been really highlighting on is while we are talking about these mechanical aimers, and they all are absolutely mechanically incredibly gifted, more than I will ever be, but they are a group of folks that really do kind of understand the support role, right? You say you're talking giving love to these initiators. Anyone who's not on a duelist role, a duelist cannot find any really as much success as they do without people frankly holding it down wherever they are, whether it be alert, whether it be just a flash, whatever info, whatever it be. Your favorite duelist does not find their success without an incredible support. Think, Floor and Alexis, things like that, where they just look at Alexis assist anytime. But I digress. Someone we also wanted to highlight on today's show is Kane Zera, someone who you were talking about just a little bit a while ago, just a couple seconds ago. I mean, look at the ACS, my angel number. We love to see it. It's someone who just is. It's silly, but a menace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. Again, I always say, they always have to play together like a team. These are all people who play together so well. But individually, Gompers, these players are fantastic at what they do.
No, I agree. I think Kane Zera is such a good pick for this as well, to be the MVP, just because, first of all, insane op player in general, right? Reaction time is crazy here, but just the pivotal player on this team that I really do feel like, along with Kane Zera and Exter, they both make it work, whether it be the double duelist compositions they like to run, or just in general, right? Mobbing it down on the ISO for some reason. I don't even know what the heck's going on. Kane Zera is just such an insane player, and it doesn't matter what weird weapon is in their hand from time to time. It's always the aim. It's always the fact that they're super hyper aware of their surroundings. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones yo, I'm gonna run it down, support me or not, because I'm gonna get two here and it's gonna work, which it always does, right? Executions with this player are absolutely insane. They're fearless, absolutely fearless. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if those memes where it's la 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 la, that's going on in their brain mid run.
It's almost that meme, brave or stupid, brave or stupid. He's not, he's just brave. He's someone who the fearless that you're talking about, that he sees a challenge and he says, all right, how hard do you want to make it? He is someone who is so brilliant and just absolutely cerebral in how he plays. And an agent selection like an ISO that rewards that aggressive play style, that rewards you with a shield, the suppress, etc., is really, really important to have for a player like him who just goes after them for the kills or assists, whatever it may be. But we have the head-to-head here of Chaotic and Kane Zera. You were talking to me earlier, before the broadcast started, that you really think Chaotic has been kind of set up for success by this new team. But Kane Zera is someone who is having that aggression, and we see this head-to-head, both incredibly talented players. How do you think the teams will set them up against each other? This is a very big question, and I'll stall for a little bit so you can think. But these are two different teams, two very different styles of playing Valorant, and frankly, setting up their duelist and how they play around their duelist. So if you had to kind of give a little educated guess on how things might turn out today, what would you say?
I think Chaotic, and I actually, it's so weird because I think they are two very, very different set up players. I think Chaotic is set up significantly in terms of the team. You know, a lot of their executions you're going to see is setting up the Chaotic for success to get these early engagements, to be the duelist they can be. But as for KaneZera, I see a lot of independence in their gameplay. It's never, ever going to be, I mean, occasionally you're going to see, right, Pop and try to work in cohesion with KaneZera, maybe being pushed up a little further while KaneZera holds the op, stuff like that. But for KaneZera, it's very independent. It's very, just take the pick and go. And a lot of the time, like I said, super hyper aware of their surroundings. They know they're going to die, so they fight for one. And you're going to literally see them like, all right, you know, it may as well just eliminate one and then take myself out of the game, like, and let everyone else handle it. So they get their one route, and that's completely fine. I think that's the difference we're probably going to see here, which super independent player, but also really well with working with the team. So I more so just depends on the pressure and what's going on for sure, but I definitely think that might be the difference here.
I would kill to be a fly on the wall for the prep because these are two duelists who, like, I would absolutely be focusing my conversation, my prep around them, because, like, how do you stop them, right? Like, how do you stop them from taking that space and taking that aggression? But we do have some map picks and bans for you all in chat. I know you've been waiting. I see you all in chat, by the way. Y'all are very excited for this game. And we love that. Keep the energy up. Moving into maps, Ascent, Lotus, Haven. There's a lot of space on those last two maps to be taken up, Gompers, but we're starting on Ascent. And you were talking about Envy's Ascent a little bit before the broadcast.
Yes.
We were having our little mini podcast before. And when I saw Plug picked Ascent, I was like, oh, Plug's been VOD reviewing, because you specifically watched Envy's Ascent. Talk to me about Envy's Ascent and what you think Plug saw.
Actually, both their Ascents, I happened to get the chance to see, which is perfect.
Beautiful.
So it works
Beautiful.
No, for sure. I think I'm actually really excited. I'd say Envy in terms of, you know, their defense is a little bit different for sure. I'm not going to say passive, but definitely in terms of mid control, they aren't too into that. They're more so just into the idea of, you know, early engagements on A site, then, you know, playing the retake on B. I think that's where Plug might excel. I think the weakness there might be, you know, that defensive side for sure on the side of Envy in terms of, you know, their attack. I'm not going to lie, I do think Plug might get run down a bit. They're super aggressive. Envy is like the team that just likes to run it down and get things done and over with very quickly, especially like with KaneZera and Exter playing possibly into that Jet and Your role. And Exter's crazy on the Yoru, which is why I'm also a little potentially afraid for Plug, because it's the consistency of you know, wanting to push out, get that first engagement, TP back with the team, and then reposition, and, you know, super good at repositioning themselves for sure on the side of Envy, which I feel like that's definitely an adaptation that Plug is going to have to make.
These are all three maps where duelists can get as silly as they want. You know, they're all very different, but they're truly some of the maps in the game where duelists can just go and find as much success as they frankly feel like they want, right? And it depends on what they're coming through itself. You said you thought Plug was going to win. Can you give me a prediction for a scoreline, do you think?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna say who, because, like, I'm just feeling in my gut maybe like 13-9.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is measured of you, Gompers. That is very measured of you.
It normally is 13-9 on this dang map. I don't know what it is, but
I think Ascent gets a lot of flack for being the boring map. Personally, I think with a player like Exter, who is always kind of on that Yoru, always with that exciting explosive tendencies, that's how you make it exciting. You think ahead, you think outside the box, if you will. And I think that is, for everyone who says Ascent is boring, I think this game is about to prove it's not at all. It really just depends on how you play it and who you play specifically. But we all had predictions today. Casters, everyone, including Dan Dryad, who cannot join us today with the predictions. Again, like we said, I've been hinting at before, our lone Gompers with the belief in Plug, because you wanted to highlight them though. And like I said before, this is a hard one. This is a group of folks who are going to make this a very competitive and very fun match. I personally think I chose Envy because I really think that aggressive playstyle that I'm talking about can be suffocating, and I don't know if Plug have an answer for that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the prep this week, so I don't know what their answer is like. But again, no caster curse here. There's no curse. It's just a couple of folks predicting moving forward. Was this a hard decision for you, Compers, or were you kind of?
I was like pretty in the middle, I'll be honest. Because, you know, you can only go so far looking at different VODs and being like, this team seems like a good match. Because you're like, the day could be different. Someone could be sick, right? Like the environment can be different. Someone cannot be feeling it. And there's so many factors that go into it. So just going by fundamentals alone, I felt like they would be a pretty good, you know, just a good opponent to go against. Especially, you know, I thought Ascent might have been a map pick just because both these teams seem to like to play it. So, you know, with that going in initially, I was like, you know what? If they go Ascent, this is a banger. Like, whatever. Let's just give Plug.
Exactly.
Let's just give it there. Let's just give them it at this point.
And we're so excited that we have to hold on a little bit because we got to prep. We got to get ready. So we're gonna send it to. We'll be right back for a little bit, but we will be, believe it or not, right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to head in right into Agent Select. And oh my goodness, not only do we have a Yoru v Yoru battle, we have a double duelist on the side of Envy. We see that Kane's-Zera. That is something that I was talking about earlier, Gompers, that exciting, explosive style but on the other side, a double Senti to stop it. So these are comps that are made for each other.
No, they definitely are. They're going with the classics here of what they're used to, but I'm surprised nobody made any changes. Everyone's staying pretty loyal to their roots. So yeah, definitely going to be hard. I think, especially starting off on defense, this, in my opinion, this gives Trust and Plug a little bit of leeway. I would say until the op is pulled out, because then you know it's on site, if you know what I'm saying. Envy is definitely not going to be easy when Kane's-Zera pulls out the op. So I think prepping for that and just diminishing that economy as much as possible might be the play from the start. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
We don't have to wait at all, Gompers, because we are ready to go. So I'm going to send it over to our casters, Tenrek and Shift on the call.
Thank you, ladies. Wow, we couldn't get you off the air fast enough. That was getting rogue. Now we're going to have fun. This is going to be a really good series. Two teams undefeated so far throughout the stage, looking to cement themselves as being a favorite overall in this particular phase of Challengers this year. I do love, again, anytime you see Kane's-Zera and Exter together, you kind of assume there's going to be some aggression being said. The devs talked about it. The girls talked about it, Tenrek. I'm expecting some fast and furious action from Envy.
But Trust and Plug do have the opportunity to have that sort of tempo control with this double Sentinel and starting out on the attack half here on Ascent. Same opportunities that SAT Esports got to do. Hopefully a little more purchase than the 3 rounds that they got in their previous matchup against Envy here on this map. But like you said, that raw aggression from this double duelist is definitely the thing on everybody's minds, especially the Envy fans. And that's not going to change, especially starting out on this pistol.
I think the other thing about this offensive half coming up for Trust and Plug with the double Sentinel is, you know, if you're Egster, you better have some good gate crash locations, because as soon as you get a read that the hit's on the way, you better come in, because you just do not want this deadlock to get into a post-plant position. Quick action to overthrow sidewalk, and a really good initial kind of crouch down coming through with the grab net being played. Trades are decent, but back and forth we go. Kane's-Zera and Sheriff holds a bit of an edge as the defense rotates over.
Blistering speed on the side take, exactly what you want to see from Trust and Plug. The one nut that you're able to outspeed Envy here with the util dump on that mesh towards the back site to stall the remainder of the team that wanted to push it, but now that that's unlocked, so is the rest of Envy.
Smoke on the staircase. Gate crash in, a little bit of a peek. Kane's-Zera backs away. Paranoia now cuts through. Kane's-Zera already playing forward. Goodness, this is clean. One more shot required on the Chaotic, and it will land off the classic of Ion. Really good retake, but more importantly, a great initial contest from Envy to make sure they held numbers.
And at the end of the day, when they're able to isolate it to being able to diff you, that's what they're going to do, and that's how they're going to do it every single time. And continuing to come through on that aim diff every single swing that Trust and Plug had to offer. Again, great ideas coming through with that crowd onto the entirety of the market side of B with Chaotic's quick entry, but like you said, that 3v3 that Envy were able to hold on to for that re-entry, that's enough for them. And so will this gun diff be going into the follow-up.
And I think the other thing kind of about like how Kane's-Zera plays, and again, off this double duelist setup, there's not often a level of like hand-holding that goes with the duelist. They often like to play a bit apart from one another and just kind of utilize their individual skill to best their opponents. You kind of saw that there. Kane's-Zera walking forward is now all of a sudden, hold on a second, maybe some early contact here at a long decoy is going to get sent by Egster. Won't fool much of anybody though, as the one way is there. Ion still able to turn that into one. Little body block from the decoy, and Ion, this swinging will find 3. Again, weapon supremacy. You come to expect a convincing round, but maybe not one that looks like this. Moose eventually drops, and it'll only be a single, or maybe 2 eliminations for Plug in their second round.
Staying unafraid in these tight spaces, Envy really haven't changed much at all since they've gotten signed. And I mean, I expect them to try to hold close on this upcoming fight as well. Trust and Plug are clearly looking to mount some sort of early aggression for these pushes on the site, perhaps to force those isolated duelists out and force a buddy system of some sort to come out from this defense at some point, which Envy just refuses to hold themselves to too often.
Other thing to kind of keep in mind in terms of the macro statistics here for both these two teams, just kind of looking at the map and the sides, Trust and Plug really have only played 5 offensive rounds so far in this stage on this map, and that was against Blue Otter, which they won 4-1. Everything was mostly determined by their defense, though. So both teams going to be preferring, just based on kind of what we see in their one sample size, to be fair, what they can do on the defensive side, as we're going to get a bit of a just straight up walk down here from Chaotic. Decoy will come through. Poppin will not be surprised by this, nor will he be baited by it. And instead, he'll just kind of hold the ground, knowing he's got trap wires as a kind of security blanket to retreat back through.
With that Owl drone, that'll confirm 2 up here on Poppin's peak. Won't call any more action over to it. In fact, it's just going to egg Poppin forward, and Chaotic walks in alone for that first blood for Envy's pushback, but Bones gets the peek back into the market window and is able to trade it.
Yeah, that's an important elimination as well, just onto the Cypher after Poppin. I mean, I'll be honest, that was just a kind of brain-dead play from Chaotic. You have to still check that smoke. The Aldron didn't clear any of it, but still 4v4. Bonus still in play. A little flash peek for Egster. Going back over towards Tree. Does connect onto a headshot, but not enough to deal really much damage whatsoever. Cainzera trying to get the shotgun in play. Up and over. Whoa! Breaking ankles. Cainzera able to find one. Now he's got the Sheriff off. Good reveal coming through, and Cainzera for another. And could upgrade into a more traditional rifle into the 2v2.
Profiting at every waking moment. Both Poppin and Cainzera staying active from a distance, and they're going to try and continue that on plant.
Cainzera maybe been blocked off. Poppin, though, is free to get into sight. And it's just down to Sacred playing on the backside of Hell, and Poppin able to find the timing on the peak, finding 3 in the round. Most importantly, the first, but, well, maybe not most importantly, the last 2. But still, regardless of it, 3 impressive eliminations as Envy start off flawlessly.
Yeah, the silver platter isn't always the most valuable kill when it comes to, especially this bonus round, but continuing to enable from that midline helped Envy continue to stay active that whole fight. But of course, Cainzera obviously getting the most action there, grabbing those 2 to reopen things far earlier than Plug intended. Regardless, they were kept on their toes throughout, kept with the threatening disadvantage throughout. And that's the kind of vibes that Envy are going to continue to establish even here on defense.
Yep. And you already get a quick peek over towards A-Long, knowing there's some sort of a broken buy here. The only question for Envy is, will they expect its 5 Stingers? Paranoia, sidestep by Inspire. Poppin holding over towards Sidewalk will find the first blood, plus some extra spam from Inspire will really slow this play down for Plug. But honestly, they kind of have to commit. I mean, you're sitting with Stingers and B main. Like, you just don't want to be stuck here forever. And after a couple eliminations do get tallied, it looks like Envy should be pretty comfortable in this round.
It seems like this whirlwind of an attack that Trust and Plug is trying to establish is starting to grind to a halt. Envy may have begun the mental boom process. Is the refusal to double down, despite the absence of this wire, can only mean one thing. Somebody's going somewhere else, and Envy clearly are privy to it. They've got Exeter planted, and they've got 2 posted up in tree.
Yeah, that's about as easy as a read as you could frame up. But still, it's just the simple fact of the matter that with that defensive hold at B main, this double stack over towards tree, plus you've got Exeter in the corner. It's just, you just don't break this. You just don't. Not against the likes of Envy. They're not primed to make mistakes like this. Grab net thrown out. No one checks the corner for Ion, and he will keep this round. Oh, that's perfect start. Perfect start from Envy.
Yeah, it's truly trivial at the moment for Envy, and they're able to maintain fights to that level where they don't really have to ask many questions at all. Just set up a smoke, set up a wire, and wait for Plug to force themselves into clearing everything with bodies instead of the util alone. Unfortunately, swinging into the remainder of the players with nothing else in the kit won't get you much farther either. Buys back up for Trust and Plug here, and some ults on the table. Couple in rotation available as well. You're able to start to make a mountain out of this molehill if you're Trust and Plug, but it comes down to this pre-plant at the end of the day that Envy have continued to win out, and they almost will get an early frag again. Cainzera ducking out.
About to say, Cainzera, round 5 operator. No, he's going to be feeling pretty pugnacious. Doesn't find the opening shot, just puts the scope down at the wrong moment. But regardless of that, defense still holds on to B main. You also have the trap wires behind us, but Chaotic has earned dimensional drift, going to spend that immediately. Gate crashes back over to Tree. So I'll be honest with 10. This isn't fooling anybody. I mean, Envy is perfectly set up for it. Barrier mesh will block off Tree, but Exter's in position on site. Teague will tally on the 1. The Annihilation will, well, actually, it does connect. Exter is looking for the teleport back. Not going to happen. Now the defense are scrambling.
And the mesh is able to wall Cainzera out as well here, so you are a little bit restricted now. The door crunched onward, so Poppin has to get active early, and he will.
And he's got a Hunter's Fury. Keep that in mind. This post plant has not really gotten out of sight yet. Reveal does come through. Can't make good on the information yet, though, our Envy. Breaking down the door at Tree. And KaneZera is going to trust the remaining 8 bullets left in this Phantom. Also has knives. Kind of surprised he's not going to pop it. We know he's primed as soon as he gets it earned to just make the hit. But here we go. The traditional retake now underway. Double stack down through hell. Moves for 2, leaving it just down to KaneZera. He reads not just 1, but more than that. Problem is, all you got to do is wait to hear the toggle, the spike. Good shorty play, but the follow-up from Bones is perfect and Plug's on the board.
Double stacking hell was the gamble that made it through there for Trust and Plug, despite the even man-to-man. And Envy, again, in that pre-plant, despite the fact that Chaotic is still having so much trouble going for the initial approach. Plug somehow were able to divide and conquer despite the open space on B Heaven. Envy walled out for just long enough for them to make the headway onto site. And then again, had time to be able to double stack on top of the Annihilation. Fully set up and bamboozle Envy the one time they need to get through. So much more to conquer here, though, Shift.
Yeah, that's step 1. I mean, again, the thing about it is, like, this first half, for Plug, I think you're going to be satisfied if you can find 4. Just kind of looking at how they played their defense versus Blue Otter, a strong team in their own right. They looked good. 9-3 on their first half when they started on the defense. So I think if you can get to 4, you'd be feeling pretty decent. And honestly, after just a dimensional drift and Annihilation, you still have the ability to get 100 Fury potentially online. That's going to be key for them to open up sites. And on the flip side, let's be honest, like Eggster with dimensional drift on the defense isn't as convincing as what he pulls with it on the attacking side.
He certainly can't get as diabolical as he'd like to. But still creeping up. KaneZera continuing to go for these peeks and sprays, and he'll finally get punished for it by Bones, one of the newer entries. But Poppin's right there back again, and that buddy system will probably start to ring out a little more consistently with these responses if Plug continues to go for these inches, which now they will through Cat, up to Tree, 2 on hand.
And we'll see how this contact goes. What to say? We got to keep a thumb on what Plug are trying to do at mid, because so far they have not really been able to utilize that part of the map at all. They've tested it,
30 seconds
gotten
left.
a trade or 2, but it hasn't really opened up space for them to utilize as a point of ingress in towards B. And it's just kind of based on what we've seen to this point. Yeah, if you get the intel that there's a B hit, it's all going through sidewalk. Poppin can rotate over quickly. Saw a bit of a shoulder there. Recon dart late with just 12 seconds remaining. Paranoia also at the ready. Inspire sidesteps the offensive one of the Hunter's Fury is going to be very difficult to dance with. Have to try to get on. Have to try to plant. Here's the teleport back out, but Iron gets shut down. Hold on a second. They are going to get this plant down, plus a couple eliminations. 3v2 numbers now for Plug.
Envy really mistiming that fight outside of Boathouse. It was they who had the double pack, and again, they who had the magnetic macro read, but now it's Extra who's got to clutch up. On the swing back, only grabs the 1, the jump down from Poppin, and the almost clutch from him on the transfer, but Sacred holds on to that health pool, and a second round for Plug.
Not gonna lie, Tenric, I had to bite my lower lip there for a second. That was an aggressive snap that nearly works out, and I'm sure Exeter's gonna look back at that chow and say, I could have gotten that first one a little bit clean, more clean rather. But regardless, 2 in a row now, all of a sudden for Plug. And I still have to keep in mind, like, I do want to keep a finger on that playthrough mid, because so far it has been an effort almost every single gun round that we've seen from Plug, just not with a lot of success. This round, I think a little bit saved off the fact that they catch Ian before he could teleport over to stop the spike from getting down. But regardless of that, 2 rounds is 2 rounds. Knives are out. Bucky's out for Eggster, and Envy will still have a quote-unquote full purchase here with that ultimate in the play.
Plug are starting to see the leaks in the dam here. It's only a matter of breaking them even further. And so much of it hinges on Chaotic's ability to go for these gate crashes and grab kills off of him a little more consistently than he's been able to so far. These frontal assaults are why mids had to get poked so frequently in order to either plant him on in these secondary rooms like they finally will this time, but it'll immediately get punished.
Yeah, and it's another moment where you can kind of look at the setup from the Cypher, just using a trapwire to guard at mid. Knives for the first blood over at B long. That leads the lurkers out of the play. And Eggster is just going to scout everything out, give you some pings. There's a little flash. Just get in the corner. Get in the corner. Oh, that's disastrous. And another flawless round for Envy as they hit their fit.
Smile for the camera off of that one, Sacred. Envy have the dominance and the hold again. Like, they've continued to just read Plug's attack phase like a book here.
Really have.
Timeout justifiably called to try to reassess. They are really questioning when exactly to dump all of their util because they're so scared of Envy having a stack in any old choke. So they're forcing Chaotic, bless his soul, to just walk up into tree round after round and try to enable him through there off of like a mesh that they place late to get like a quick plant. But that has to come off of forcing a couple members of Envy to not to be demotivated from holding that A site, cause a distraction, get a rotation going of some kind, and Envy have just refused to be swayed.
Yeah, I mean, you can really categorize this entire offensive half for Plug as being we're either hitting through tree or we're hitting through B main. There has not really been any success through A long. They haven't really had the opportunity to even hold position there just because Eggster continues to get position there off of the one-way from Ion. And then the other side of things, again, middle of the map has been an issue. And the trap wire, once again, will be placed for Envy to essentially allow Poppin to... I mean, I imagine that Plug is like, dude, Poppin is everywhere all the time. Like, he has been at mid, he's finding kills. He's been inside the B site finding eliminations. He's helped out over towards tree. And a lot of that is just kind of playing off of whatever setup Inspire gives him. And it's looked really good so far for the Sova.
Yeah, he's been available for the trade in mid, available for the trade in the back, the freest for the rotation to A site. He is the ubiquitous player on this defense, and he's been using it to his full advantage. Trust and Plug have not had an answer for him. Really anybody thus far. Moose's walk-up won't find anything either.
And Kane feeling frisky enough to hang out here a little bit longer. And especially with Poppin right there with them. Again, it's just... Poppin's having a great map, legitimately. He has been all over the place. He's gotten great information for his teammates off of his utility. And individually, he's been good for a number of 1v2s. Nowhere for Sacred to go. That's your, count it, 1, 2, 3. Third flawless for Envy so far in their 6-round wins. And Trusted Plug will come back in looking to reset in round 9 with full purchase.
And a whole lot in the bank. Teague's Annihilation was one of the really pivotal ults for Trust and Plug's ability to get the snowball rolling previously in this attack. I expect it to be the very same again. He's had to be the linchpin in this attack, specifically through tree, and even the pokes through mid occasionally. Far too often so far. But a split push to begin here for Plug. Looks like they'll try and default and, again, just see if they can pop a duelist dome over in Pizza.
Different look. I can appreciate it. But again, different look from the defense. Now it's Eggster at mid. And this Aldron's going to be like, really? Eggster's here now? It's just, there are so many variety looks that Envy are giving defensively that's continuing to cause question marks for Plug as they try to, again, forge forward, trying to find ways to get into sight that isn't just through tree, that isn't just through B main, but they haven't been able to create anything at mid.
And meanwhile, where is that mid position now? Kane, Zera, and Poppin holding out that B main. Hounds watching that opening swing. Brevity at this point is already insane, but expected from Envy. But the space has yet again been taking in Cat. The most powerful passive space that Trust and Plug has been able to gather so far this game. Can they exact upon it so far? Ion's been a consistent hold for it. Extra the peek in. Chaotic's good.
There's still the question, though, of how do you get through this smoke and trapwire setup, especially with no one's looking at Ion? We're not even checking glass after that initial peek comes through. Sacred collects the op and connects with it, but Inspire is so planted on this site. Annihilation banking across the site. This time it will not land. Spy Camp is still finding so much information, but Inspire will drop. Now it's on to Poppin, and he has been unbelievable, and he's continuing to do it. Oh! I call it what it is. A 1v3 on site for Poppin, and Envy can do no wrong.
And you're taking a lap after that one if you're Envy. Poppin continuing to go absolutely dummy on this map. Unreal stage control in a pivotal time where Trust and Plug had that one remaining window to get spiked down after truly minimal space on both tree and site was cleared. How do you not look at Ion? But they do. They clear one. Annihilation opens up, so you only have to look at the back of site. And they do some good work from there until you get to Poppin, who's now 15 up, 9 rounds deep. Momentum continues for Envy.
He is him right now. And now you're on to Stingers again. And that number we talked about of trying to get to 4 feels very out of reach. Oh, how pivotal that round could have been for Trust and Plug. But now it's just going to be down to, can you catch anyone off guard? And almost. Timing there was near for Sacred, but instead Kane Zera does connect with the operator. And we've got a very early 5v4.
A lot of stupid stats about Zera coming out of stage 1, but my personal favorite is since Envy has been signed, he has failed to get less than 18 kills on any singular map that this team has played. Unreal duelist, truly, at every waking moment. And when he leaves the scene, Poppin's gonna be right there to replace him.
Grab net
goes
caused a
Kane
bit of
over
an
to that A
issue. Paranoia blocks though. And this is just another one of those rounds, Tenric, where it's just like, Trust and Plug just can't hit A. They just cannot get in. They have a dimensional drift. You'd think maybe you use that, but oh my God. I mean, just stop it. Stop it. Ion, stop it. Extra right there for the trade. Nowhere to go. I mean, we're getting smoke headshot kills. What are we talking about?
No reason not to just gun it down. When you start hearing those steps and when you start hearing Chaotic just launching that clone, it is truly a one and done mode comp for Trust and Plug at the moment. Really are just banking everything on like these deadlock util dump hits. And they're having to use the cyber cages to push in. They really just have no good answer to this A main push.
Zero. Well, this is a must win here. You have to have this if you're Trust and Plug. Got the dimensional drift. Figured that's going to be a part of this. Execute no matter which side it goes to. I would have to figure they're probably going to try to keep playing over towards A with it. The trap wire setup once again around B continues to allow Zera to play on this forward angle at main. You've got Poppin just looking for information kind of on a very safe angle in the backside of mid. And interesting, we're going to try to run this down market, but look at all the information. Spy cam's out, Owl drone's here. Zera wants to make sure no one's over the top. Wallbang will connect for half HP. And Poppin is still doing Poppin things.
I know exactly
doing Zera things too, though, trying to go in to finish that off. Shot he knows he landed, but gets punished for it. So it is a 4v4 on the site that is starting to get crowded a little bit, and Poppin does get taken care of early.
Raid boss down. Inspire caught. Ion to the backside of the site. How much can he create? Can he kill any time? What could he just kill the whole team? Paranoia. Oh, it's gonna land. Does he get an angle at this? One more inside the site. A little bit of damage tagged. Extra coming back. Saves a life. Oh boy. Is it Envy or is it the Fray? That's how you save a life. Ion last one standing.
Holy
God. My goodness. Put it to bed. 9-2 through 11. Envy crushing.
How the hell does Ion hold on that long in the boathouse to yet again save face for Envy out of nowhere to take back that round? They started to get a little crazy. They started to get a little stupid. They started to get a little brave. Zera walked into potentially 3 people in market with no intel with a shorty in his hands. And they still win this round off of Ion holding on to that boathouse for dear life, grabbing 2 along the way, then exiting off of that extra flash with the perfect timing we know that Yorumain has.
Who's next?
Dimensional drift immediately out. Chaotic. Gonna get a quick read. Hunter's Fury to follow up with this. Poppin just trying to stave this off, and Poppin has done more than that. Oh, stop it. I don't know what else to say, Tenrek. Just stop it. Just stop it. Get him off my screen. This is disgusting.
No more charges left.
Yeah, can we skip this cutscene?
Well, for Plug, they're probably thinking that. Can we get out of here? Well, you will. As Moose is the last one left to be a 1v3, he's been tagged. And now we're just playing with our food. First shorty shot will land. Poppin will finish it off. And Poppin has just dropped a career grand slam on Plug's foreheads in the first half. He's 19-4. And keep in mind, he's got teammates behind him that have 16-12 as well. Yeesh.
Yeah, he's got to stay on his toes if you want to continue top fragging after these performances that the rest of the team has been continuing to put up. But surely a mic drop half after the amount of enabling he was able to do from mid the entirety of that half, whether it was being able to trade off of Zera effectively, rotate to A main effectively to immediately intercept off of the smoke or cage or whatever Trust and Plug decided to set up for that push. And then, of course, the market hold all the way through, or whatever B pushes Trust and Plug had left in him. Every answer to every question now, Envy gets to attack.
Yeah. I mean, really, this game could just be over depending on what happens with this pistol. You have to have it. I hate to keep saying the same thing over and over again, but if you're Trust and Plug, you've missed a couple of windows, you've had a couple of things go completely awry, and now you are in a must-win situation pretty much from here on out. Especially here for the pistol, though, you just don't want to be down 12-2. And Plug will be playing a bit of a stack up here, just replacing the one-way. Gate crash set forward. Here comes a little bit of a walk. That's just a decoy. That cues up the wide swing. Trade is not bad, though, especially with all of the deadlock utility still in place at the choke point.
Hoffman creeping up the tree. The sonic sensor diverts. Now the grab net to force. Teague able to get active in the isolated fight. Exactly how he likes it. But now Envy able to push in on top of their own cages, and Cainzera has space. Cainzera has kills. 3 now, and the remaining 2 up in heaven.
Just cannot happen. Cannot allow that to happen. Hard scoped on that angle. Moose will get the trade, but headshot was tallied. Both members here for Plug are essentially a bullet away from being taken care of by this ghost. Eggster continues to play with the spike. Shock darts continuing to chunk him. So 10, if he wins that one outright, I throw my microphone out the window. But Plug will get the pistol. Stay alive.
Oh, brother. They really like to keep you on the edge of your seat the whole way through, don't they? Once again, the ability to suddenly elongate fights that they would rather finish in microseconds. Envy's macro is as intimidating as their aim. But Trust and Plug maintaining that heaven control and their own patience to be able to diff Eggster after they were able to do all that chipping away in the meantime. Deadlock util can't be taken down like that on the pistol, especially, Shift.
Yeah, very true. But, okay, Lifeline has been talked about. I won't say earned. We still have a long way to go here, Fred.
First mandatory round of many.
Yeah, true. But an opportunity to put them together here, obviously. It's just don't fall to Cainzera shorty. That's kind of the big problem. But Envy just trying to show some force at A main. Defense says, nah, who cares? We're good to go.
We'll see no goading for Plug here, but staying planted on this cubby. Ballsy for a potential death ball if Chaotic does not get a pick.
Anyone else?
For the Outlaw is pretty easy.
Gun here.
Ping in the classic just to make sure.
Guys,
Crash
look
out.
what he
Nice
got.
shot from Chaotic and then moves to the corner. Able to find one more. Chaotic teeing off a little bit. Right clicks out for both players. Scion will be able to find the stinger, but
30 seconds
with a 1v4, not a lot of time. We've seen some incredible stuff. This would take the cake. And there we go. No more antics. Back-to-back rounds for Plug, and the bonus will be pretty significant here. Outlaw, Guardian, Spectre, not bad.
Envy searching for advantage in a round that generates 0 of it for themselves. What you expect out of the attack for them here. But now this double duelist gets to go cray-cray on the rifles. So might see some defaulting, might see some deathballing. You really have no idea what to expect with this Envy attack. It really kind of ends up just being what I call whatever. Whatever, man. They kind of just do whatever. And it just works.
True. I mean, there is a certain level of, like, if Papa's just going to keep winning 1v3s, then yeah, just like whatever, just do what you want. But I think you're absolutely right. Kind of looking at this from Envy's perspective on this offense, you do turn your eyes to what Kane and Eggster want to try to pull with this double duelist setup. Okay, Crash going to get sent in. Aldra behind that. Keep your focus forward. There's the dash, and Eggster will teleport in, but dealt with nicely by Plug. They hold him at the front doors.
Teague able to step out of tree and grab that kill and still go unpunished. Another
Spike planted.
small gap in information that Trust and Plug quickly take advantage of. The reaction time coming through for the moment. Envy having to creep up on top of this spike to generate some action, and Inspire's still on this lure. Good God.
Yeah, timing here is really pivotal for if Inspire is even going to be a part of this play.
Yeah.
Aldrone out. Ion, good first. Sneaks away, still at full health. Poppin, his turn, over towards tree. Can't create anything. Now Inspire's got to come into this play. It is too late. It's just taking a little bit too long. It's going to force the quick rotation through with that secondary toggle on the spike. Inspire, yeah, he's just not going to get here to check the spike in time. Plus Moose right there to meet him with a found Phantom. So, okay, bonus comes through. And all of a sudden, you start to just shake things out a little bit and say, all right, the game starts now if you're trusting Plug.
You're already definitely seeing that Envy is getting a little antsy when figuring out what channel to attack, the very same way that Trust and Plug did. So reestablishing that perspective, definitely going to make him feel a lot more confident entering these upcoming rounds. Do you start holding closer chokes? Do you start trying to counter defaulting if you're Trust and Plug, though, with the potential for a snowball still so close? Envy still has a lot of purchasing power here, and he'll go for the full-blown attack on a B site. Quickly silenced, though.
Moose still hanging on the sidewalk, trying to shake off the paranoia. Doesn't stay alive through it. Chaotic. Misses the first op shot and then immediately swapped over to the shorty. And Teague gets blown over from the front side at market, and a thrifty round. Just when you start to think Trust and Plug can start to trust into their setup, start to get that defensive statistic building for them, a thrifty comes through, and now this resets the game again in favor of Envy.
A double duelist push gets just a 1-for-2 trade, and it is still enough to breach that B site quicker than Trust and Plug are able to react, at least for this round. From there, they absolutely storm the fights that Trust and Plug started. Or tried to start a little early as well. They tried to pull in Envy, but Envy actually ready for it this time. Turns back, takes care of 2, and then goes back for that site control. Able to manage both ends of the fighting stick just this once. 2 out from taking this map away and going to their own pick of Lotus here. That aim still looking crispy for Envy here on this attack.
And it's just like, look, I don't want to sit here and glaze harder than the Krispy Kreme shop nearby, but it's just like Envy, when they're finding these 1v multiple wins like this, it creates one narrative, and that is Envy's playing well today. To make it, you know, the G-rated version of saying that. Envy has looked unbelievable. And it's not even just the simple fact that Poppin is dominating. He's already above, I think, 20 eliminations. But it's the simple fact of the matter that he's getting so much good information from his teammates, let alone what he's been able to create for himself. It's just everything is covered from the defensive side. And like we continue to mention, when you go to a double duelist with the dimensional drift at the ready, that's going to guarantee you a 12th round, you would think, especially with the Hunter Security combined with that. So it's just Envy's coming out hot today. Although that is a very pivotal first blood, considering you're in a force buy for Trust and Plug. They may be able to like walk through this one way and actually turn that into a rifle.
Once again, one of the unique traits of Envy, just trying to not line him their way through a couple 1v2 ecos. And all too often, it still goes like that. Still. Trade back on B main and the early entry from the one duelist that's still around. Gains a lot of control onto the B site that Plug certainly don't want to counteract immediately.
Moment of pause here, though, before this BXQ comes through. There's the paranoia. Moose gets a small reveal, turns it into a bit of damage. Does he get a read? He had a read that someone had entered into his trap, but doesn't make a difference. Zera for 4 may have just put this round out of question as Sacred finds themselves in a 1v2. And the pinch will take them out of the map. Envy, 12-5. And keep in mind, this is Trust and Plug's map pick. Yeesh.
Match point.
Zera, thanks to that run, he's back up to above 18 again, so he keeps that run going too. He almost tried to go for the flip. He's still clip farming, by the way, for that 5th in the 3v1. So Envy, never one to dwindle from their personality. But really, nothing to complain about with that take, even after Eggster was gone. Nobody ever questioned that Zera could do that sort of push all on his own. That's sort of the whole point of having the Yoru as your second duelist, is he can just be any old place. Just so happened that Eggster didn't get one this time.
Well, after the forced purchase in the last round, it gives the indication that the whole rest of the way for Trust and Plug will, of course, be the same. Get what you can afford. And the purchase isn't miserable. You've got an Annihilation. You've also got the Dimensional Drift at the ready, but such is still the case with a couple extra alts for Envy. Then there's the offensive Dimensional Drift sent out. Grab will be put down. Good reveal behind this. Annihilation trying to come through, but wait a second. The Zera to jump over the top of it? Sure seems that way. Eggster pops off for the Dimensional Drift and finds 2 defenders inside the site. And there's just nothing that Plug can do.
Zera parkouring over that deadlock ult that could have completely stunted this Envy push, and instead they're glowing outside of backside. They're looking for the triple swing from a distance. Whoa. And Moose will make them question themselves for a second. As always, it's never clean, but it's always fun. Envy, a 13-5 victory on what is not their pick.
Yeah, and we may have been on the opening death segment longer than we were in the map. I mean, legitimately, it was exactly, though, like Elizabeth and Gompers were talking about. Envy, they catch steam, and they're just going to run you down. And it becomes easier to kind of do the old day one playbook strategy of we're just better when Poppin is finding 1v3s on site by himself, essentially. He's able to lock down mid-map by himself, essentially. And, you know, to kind of speak outside of just the easy category of Envy good, Trust and Plug not so good, the biggest part about this in my mind, Henrik, is the fact that on the first side of defense, Envy didn't allow Trust and Plug to do anything but hit through tree, hit through B main. You don't want to do that in the face of course, double duelists and more importantly, Poppin who's in the way. So my only thing I could say is that map for Envy is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Trusted Plug, I should say, and Gompers did briefly speak about this, you can tell that Trusted Plug still did do their research, especially when it came to that defensive half. They were able to still try and maintain that tempo control and at least keep Envy guessing for a little while. Of course, when that confidence started balling up, you know what Envy's going to do. They're going to win, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, kind of a clip farming opening map for Envy, and now they get a chance to go over to their map selection when we come back. Don't go far. Desk back with us in the backside of the break.
I don't think I have a favorite, but I am a fan of many cereals, I won't lie. Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles are like okay, but like Captain Crunch, very good. I love Captain Crunch. Then there's a lot of like, you know, low-key ones too that I gotta keep like hidden, but I do like cereal.
My comfort food is probably some pho, some like banh mi. Like my mom's like a really good cook, so she makes like a lot of good Vietnamese food.
My comfort food would probably be poutine. I miss Quebec. I miss the food there, so I said poutine will make me feel at home and good, straight up.
For me, my favorite comfort food would be like a nice warm soup.
Gotta focus on shifting the soup mode.
It's just real nice and warm and hearty inside. There's just nothing like it when it's like nice and cold. Especially where like I'm from, it's like mostly cold like year round, except for maybe like 3-4 months. I'd say it's generally cold. So soup is definitely like my comfort food.
Probably like a nice cheeseburger or like some good pizza. It's like pretty chill. Can't really go wrong with that. Maybe pancakes. Ooh, pancakes. Oh.
I think my mom's mac and cheese. I had that like a lot growing up, and it's like definitely like a favorite of mine to have when I go back home from college. So yeah, I'd say my mom's mac and cheese is really good.
That's kind of hard. I feel like a comfort food is something that like comes from my culture, just something like my mom would make or like my grandma would make. So I'll say some biryani. You know, it's like a Pakistani dish that they would make a lot. It's just like, you know, some rice, some lamb or chicken, and it's just really good. So I'd say that.
My comfort food has to be like Chick-fil-A. You can't go wrong with their chicken sandwiches. So always spicy. Yeah, spicy is always better.